Hello everybody, I'm KC, and welcome to our edition of Let's Talk About, and welcome to the latest installment of To Infinity War and Beyond. Hey friends, do you remember this little name drop from a few movies back?
Bruce Banner, Stephen Strange, anyone who's a threat.
Well, now it's time to properly introduce the Sorcerer Supreme who's come to bargain in Doctor Strange. Famous neurosurgeon Stephen Strange, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, has his life fall apart after his hands are broken beyond repair in a car accident. Seeking to heal them by any means necessary, he becomes a student of the magical arts and finds a new purpose greater than anything he could have imagined. This movie is so cool! Like Guardians of the Galaxy, Doctor Strange shows us a side of this world we've never seen before but has existed all this time, and that alone is fresh and very welcome. Especially if you were, say, power watching through all of these in a short amount of time and posting semi-detailed analysis of every single one online. Just as an example. But this was another Marvel movie that I was really excited for. And unlike Ant-Man, I only knew the bare bone basics on Doctor Strange, but the concept alone was enough to intrigue me, and this movie really delivered a memorable experience. Some people joke about how Stephen Strange is just Tony Stark 2.0, and while there are similarities, mostly personality-wise, I see his story as more of a mix of Tony and Thor. A successful man falls from grace and is sent somewhere far away to learn humility, where he discovers the wonder of a whole new world and returns to his old life a changed man, and vows to defend the world with the gifts he's been given. So yes, there are points where we are treading old ground here. As much as I have praised the different ways of approaching the hero's journey, there are only so many ways you can do certain points. That said, this movie does stand out and become something special just like its fellow Marvel movies. It has new themes, new character types we haven't seen yet, and certainly new powers and approaches to action set pieces. Starting with our hero, Stephen Strange, who, as I mentioned, is played by Benedict Cumberbatch. God, sorry, that's my inner fangirl. There are times where it's tough to contain. Let me just... Man, that's embarrassing. Seriously though, two things came to my mind when I heard about the casting. Oh my god, this is amazing, Cumberbatch is going to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and this is really going to make the production on Sherlock grind to a halt. And it did. Anyway, while Strange has similar characteristics to previous Marvel heroes of being an arrogant, sarcastic genius who learns to be better through extraordinary circumstances, he has a lot going for him on his own. One of the biggest for me is that he was already sort of a hero, but how he chose to use his powers was where his faults were. He was a brilliant surgeon who saved lives, but only helped when it would improve his reputation, unlike someone like Tony who was unknowingly doing harm. The person who tells Strange about Kamar-Taj is someone who came to him for medical help and wouldn't even see him. And he gets a taste of that himself when he's put in the same position, no longer able to do the things that made him feel so important. He was happy in his own little world, and once things get too intense with the world of magic, he's ready to give it all up because it's more than he bargained for. Basically, he's a jerk. And not a fun jerk like Tony in the beginning, just a jerk. What he has going for him is his skill and determination. Like I said, he was brilliant at what he did, and once he got the hang of magic after struggling, he goes into it full force, advancing quickly and figuring out creative ways to use it, even messing with powers no one else in the temple will touch. He can think outside the box, and once he has his heart set on something, he'll go to any lengths to get it, no matter how long it takes. His arc is basically learning how to put those talents towards something more important than himself. In layman's terms, with great power comes blah blah blah. This isn't an easy combination to pull off and still make the character likable, but Cumberbatch makes it look easy. Though you could say he's had some practice at playing a lovable yet jerky genius.
He's not dead, but he is dying. Still want to harvest his organs?
I'll assist you.
No.
She could be trying to tell us
Yes,
something.
thank you for your input.
We'll come back to Strange later. For now, let's move on to the other characters. There's Dr. Palmer. No, wrong comic franchise. There we go. Christine Palmer, played by Rachel McAdams? Okay, no, time out. Is whoever is in charge of casting at Marvel Studios as big a Sherlock Holmes fan as me? So far we have not one, but two Sherlocks, the woman who played Irene Adler in Robert Downey Jr.'s Sherlock Holmes, and Martin Freeman who played Watson in Sherlock in Civil War. If they suddenly have Johnny Lee Miller cast in one of these movies, I'm going to have a lot of questions. but I won't be complaining. Since Strange leaves for Kamar-Taj pretty early in the movie, we don't spend a lot of time with her, but McAdams plays the part well, and I do love how she doesn't ask a million questions when the weird stuff starts going on. She's freaked out, but she stays focused on helping when she's needed, and considering that their first reunion is when Strange has been stabbed in the chest, that's appreciated. And of course, Strange's wise old mentor of the magical arts, the Ancient One, played by... oh boy. So, we can't talk about this movie without talking about this infamous casting choice. Recasting a character who was originally an old Asian man into a white Celtic woman stirred up a lot of controversy for very obvious reasons. One of the reasons for this change was that the director wanted to avoid racial stereotyping when casting an Asian man as an old mentor of magical arts. There were definitely other factors here, mostly for the sake of distribution, but that's one of the main ones. Personally, I am not entirely against this change, since I kind of like seeing a woman as the age-old experienced mentor who has darker flaws. I honestly can't think of any other time I've seen that, though I completely understand the grievance, and if they must make this change, I think it could have been handled much, much better. But I'm only speaking for myself. The bigger picture as far as representation goes should probably be left to people more educated in these sort of sociological issues than me. And anyway, Tilda Swinton did a great job in what was essentially a no-win situation. I do like how even the Ancient One wasn't perfect. She messed with dark forces for her own personal gain, but she also claimed it was for the greater good, which in some ways puts her on the same level as Strange and gives them more of a connection. And I've gotta say, her death scene may be the most moving and beautifully put together in the MCU so far. It's not the most impactful, but it was still beautiful. If anything, it means we won't have this very problematic casting anymore. And among the other members of the temple, there's the delightfully stone-faced and exposition-dumping librarian Wong, played by Benedict Wong, and the loyal follower of the Ancient One, Carl Mordo, played by, and I'm probably gonna get this wrong, so I apologize, Chiwetel Ejiofor. And this guy got way more interesting as the movie went on. He's put so much trust and his own identity into the Ancient One and her teachings that when he finds out that she was messing with volatile forces, and that even Strange broke the rules for the sake of saving the world, he vows to rid the world of sorcerers to maintain balance. This is something we have never seen in the MCU before, and I for one cannot wait to see where they go with it. That end credit scene was the most chilling one in a while. And of course, our villain, Caecilius, played by Mads Mikkelsen. I wouldn't really call him memorable, but he's probably the first Marvel villain to just have terribly misguided motives. He really believes he is helping create a better world by siding with Dormammu, and he's probably the only villain so far who isn't out for his own vengeance or conquest, which again is refreshing. Not to mention the makeup on him is astounding. I don't know how they got that cracked look around his eyes with that effect of dark magic literally tearing him apart, but it looks incredible. Speaking of looks, probably the thing that stands out the most about this movie, and the thing that it gets the most praise for, is its production design. It was even nominated for an Academy Award for visual effects, and the fact that it didn't win is a crime. The visual language of the magic they introduce us to is as surreal as it should feel. One of the best concepts is the mirror world, where not only can they have elaborate fight scenes without worrying about civilian casualties, but the entire world around them can be shaped at will. This could have been disorienting, but instead it's mesmerizing in all the right ways. It's imaginative, kaleidoscopic, and, well, magical. I even love how they translate the look of the runes, making them look like strokes of a pen. It's an artistic approach. And that first head trip the Ancient One takes Strange on, which is basically the microverse from Ant-Man times 1,000, may be the most bizarre minute of cinema I have ever seen. Its closest competition is probably the insanity of this guy.
Hey, look what I can do! You're insane! Sure I am. What's your point?
Once again, the costume design is top-notch. Like Thor, these were designs that could have been difficult to bring to live action, and I was worried that it would end up looking really silly. But the first time I saw Strange's costume on the cover of Entertainment Weekly, my first thought was, oh yeah, this could work. Just like Thor, the magical garbs look fantastic and dignified. And I have to give a special shout out to the Cloak of Levitation, which is the best part of the movie. But I'm not quite sure why Strange suddenly develops a gray streak halfway through the movie. My best guess is that it's some kind of mild hypothermia from this incident, or it falls under the Reed Richards logic of, it looks cool, who cares? And we have to talk about the final battle, which is probably the best scene in the movie, to me anyway. Now, I love superheroes bashing a bunch of nameless foot soldiers in the head as much as the next guy, but it's nice to have a final battle that involves, like, actual strategy. I love how Strange's confrontation with Dormammu, also played by Benedict Cumberbatch, is a culmination of everything he was and what he's become. Strange was clever right from the start, and now he's noble and self-sacrificing. This is the true test of the hero he will become, using every gift he's been given to stand for a greater purpose. Also, having the theme of time being woven into the movie to subtly foreshadow this strategy was very clever. It's probably the most well thought out climax in the MCU so far. Also, more Infinity War foreshadowing. Not bad for his first adventure. Overall, Doctor Strange is awesome. While it does fall into some been there, done that territory compared to its fellow Marvel movies, mostly in some hit or miss humor, for the most part, it's incredibly creative. From this new information on the Marvel Universe, to the visuals, to the directions taken with certain characters, this is one of my favorite origin stories in the MCU, and I cannot wait to see where they take the new Sorcerer Supreme in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain. Dormammu, I've come to bargain.